Hey guys, I don't know if you can see me. It's a little slow. Okay, good. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on where you're located. This is my third episode, where on this channel, as you know, we review business-related articles in the hopes of, expanding our vocabulary in business-related things, and also discussing topical issues that are current and might be of some importance to you. So again, this is Kenneth Business English. By the way, you guys can find me on italki. I'm a teacher there. I focus on business English. So if you get an opportunity, swing on by, and I'll be more than happy to teach you guys. So without any further ado, let us begin. The article we're going to look at today is called "Where in the World Do People Work the Least?" I got this from the Engo website. So you're thinking, how does this have anything to do with business? Well, it has a lot to do with business. Efficiency, right? Oftentimes we're taught that there's a correlation between time invested and, I guess, productivity, and productivity, high productivity is synonymous with, increased growth. Is that true? Is that just a wives' tale, as we say? Well, we're going to look at this article and we'll find out. Good. Let's get started. Vocabulary: wonder. Wonder. It means to think and want to know about something. An example here is, I wonder if the rain will stop anytime soon. So you might be asking, what's the difference between think and wonder? Wonder, if you will, is a bit more, I don't know, imaginative. Not so much imaginative, but you're giving it more kind of hypothetical consideration. You know what I mean? So I wonder if I take this route to work instead of that one, maybe I'll get to work earlier. Oh, that's right. I work virtually. I don't have to worry about that. Good. Entire. Entire, the definition is including everything, part, etc. An example being, he spent the entire day watching television. A lot of my students will say all the time. I suggest we use entire or whole. Entire sounds quite sophisticated. You can also say whole, W-H-O-L-E, but entire definitely fits the bill. Also, with regard to pizza, I typically eat the entire pizza pie. Is that healthy? That's another topic, right? Good. Measure. The definition of measure is to find the size, amount, speed, etc. of something. An example being, I measured the sofa to make sure it wasn't too big for my room. Right? Thinking, why measured? Well, if you measure something, think maybe of a ruler, you're determining its length, width, height, if you will. So also, someone can be measured. If you are a measured person, that means you consider the situation and you, how should I say, align your temperament, if you will, to that situation. So if it's not a really big issue, well, then you shouldn't be like, right. You shouldn't scream necessarily, right? It's measured. Good. Next, significantly. The definition of significantly is in a way that is large enough to be noticed or have an effect. An example being, his writing has significantly improved since the start of the semester. Now, you might be wondering, what's the difference between significantly and significant? Well, significant is simply, right, the adjective. Adjectives modify what? Nouns, exactly. So whereas significantly modifies, or adverbs, right, little clue here is it has an ly. Modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs, right? So here we have significantly improved, right? Excellent, which is a verb. Good. I'm significantly happier today that I'm doing or producing my third episode of Kenneth Business English, because yesterday I didn't do it. So significantly happier today. So, right, an adjective. Good. An adverb modifying an adjective, I should say. Roughly is another adverb. Again, how do we know this? Very often we'll have ly at the end of an adjective, more often than not. It just means approximately. These two dogs are roughly the same size. This is quite interesting because rough is the sound that we assign to dogs in English. I know in every language there's a unique sound, but here it's either woof woof or ruff ruff. So it's quite interesting that they used dogs in this example. Roughly is actually commonly used. You could say approximately, but roughly, in my opinion, should also be considered. I personally use it quite often, I should say. Right? So roughly. So somebody calls you, "Hey, where are you, Ken?" I don't know. I think I'm roughly halfway to work, so I'll be there in like, I don't know, 30 minutes. Right? That's how long my commute used to be, like an hour. So 30 minutes would have put me halfway at the halfway point. Good. Have, to have. This is interesting. Typically, most of my students know half, but it's rare that they see, and I admit, even in my case, it's rare that I even see the verb to have or the infinitive to have. However, it is used. It means to reduce something or be reduced by half. An example being, the new machines will have the time it takes to assemble a car, right? It will make it so it takes half the time. So we're simply taking half, the noun, and we've just converted it to a verb, to have. Good. Not used that often, but it's good to know. Good. Let's jump into this article, shall we? Where in the world do people work the least? Have you ever wondered where in the world people work the least? Remember, wondered, right? Kind of considering. Data from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, for 2020 showed how many hours a week people in different countries usually work. The data included 35 of the 38 OECD member nations, but there was no information on the usual working weeks in Canada, South Korea, or Japan. I find this particularly interesting. The OECD is a rather important organization, and I think it highly unlikely that Canada, South Korea, or Japan just simply forgot. So you can draw your own conclusions about that, but oftentimes, we can tell a lot about something based upon what has been omitted. So, according to this data, the Netherlands has the shortest usual working week in the OECD, with the average employee working 29.5 hours a week. This is interesting. The Netherlands is seen, I believe so, by many people as being a rather developed country, only working 29.5 hours a week. So not the typical 40, which is kind of used as a typical average work week here, though people do work more than that. But that seems kind of light, yet they are quite productive. And this is reflected in GDP there as well. So something to keep in mind as we continue. The second shortest work week is in Denmark with 32.5 working hours, followed by Norway with 33.6, Switzerland with 34.6, and Austria, Belgium, and Italy with average working weeks of 35.5 hours. Okay. I wish I only worked that long. I would have been like, yes, what a godsend. The longest working week in the OECD is in Colombia, with employees usually working 47.6 hours. This is followed by Turkey with 45.6 hours and Mexico with 44.7. I found this kind of interesting. So Colombia worked 47.6 hours. So that would put them right around what, over a little over 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, right? If they were to work just 5 days a week. Turkey, 45.6 hours. It's interesting. So the question is why, right? I try to always find, a rational or an underpinning rationale for whatever I see. So in this case, Turkey is experiencing hyperinflation. So maybe, I don't know, people are working extra hours in order to make more money to buy things, or make more money than to like quickly convert whatever money is generated into a stronger currency, be it, the dollar or the euro or whatever that might be, or to gold, if you will. Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe in places where maybe there's a lot of demand for positions. That'll, people are worried about maybe losing their job. So for that reason, they work longer hours in order, I don't know, to make their bosses happy. Who knows? There are a number of possible reasons for this. Good. However, the results change when looking at the number of hours actually worked over the entire year. According to OECD data, it was people in Germany who actually worked the least hours in 2020, 1,332 in total, giving an average of just 25.6 hours each week. I think most of us, I mean, maybe I could say, are probably surprised by this. Often, at least in the US, we think, well, Germany, people work hard, and that's the thing. Oftentimes, we equate working hard with working longer hours. So this is interesting. So maybe, the conclusion that, the German workforce works hard, that's actually very much the case, very accurate. But perhaps there isn't necessarily a correlation between working hard and working long hours. Perhaps working hard suggests that people are working more efficiently. Who knows? Also, a lot of people say that in some countries, taxes are so high that the question becomes, what's the benefit of working an additional hour, right? Once you've been able to satisfy your basic needs and many of your wants. Who knows? Great. Oh, by the way, we call that the theory of diminishing returns, where each additional unit really doesn't produce, a sizable outcome, if you will. Good. Measuring in this way, people in Denmark worked the second least hours, while British people worked third least. I think here it should be the third least. Good. Working hours in the world's richest countries have decreased significantly in the last 150 years. For example, in 1870, people in places like the Netherlands, Germany, and Denmark used to work 60 to 70-hour weeks, right? This is a good example where we're often on autopilot. We've read a particular sentence structure so many times that we assume that it's going to be the same, but we should always be on the lookout for a deviation from that. So again, for example, in 1870, people in places like the Netherlands, Germany, and Denmark used to work 60 to 70-hour weeks. By the way, whenever you see this hyphen, right, you should say 2. And even 72 hours a week in Belgium. By the way, people from Belgium are called Belgians, right? Belgian, Belgian. These numbers have now been roughly halved. Good. So let's check out these questions. What OECD country has the shortest usual work week? Well, let's see here. Here they say shortest usual working week, right? That would be the Netherlands. Good job. How many hours a week do people in Colombia usually work? Is that like 46.7 or something like that? Let me see. 45.6. 45.6 hours. Good. Oh, I'm sorry, forgive me. That would be, I was right, 47.6. Good. 47.6 hours a week. Be interesting to know if, do they work 5-day weeks or 6-day weeks? You'd be interested to know that in the United States, we don't actually have a set work week. It's assumed that it's 40 hours, after which you then get paid overtime. In some cases, not so much the case anymore in many industries. But in other countries, they work 6 days a week, right? Perhaps that's the case in Colombia. What was the average work week in Belgium in 1870? What do you guys think? It was like 70 hours, 72 hours. 72 hours. Close enough. I mean, once you've been working, that much time, like there's that many hours, you're like, what's the difference between 70 and 72? Good. And, well, guys, take a look at these discussion questions. Again, you can find this article in the daily news section of ngo.com. Very, very, very interesting articles that you can find there. Remember, guys, you can find me at italki.com under Kenneth Business. Kenneth Business. I look forward to seeing you guys there. Please look forward to another episode tomorrow. Also, I'm going to begin focusing on phrasal verbs and idioms in subsequent, well, apart from these videos, which will be consistent, I'm also going to provide additional information on phrasal verbs. Every day, I'll look at maybe one preposition, and then I will, or one verb, I should say, and then I'll create, I'll mention all of the phrasal verbs related to that verb, right? Excellent. So I hope you've enjoyed the class today. I look forward to seeing you guys again next time. Please, if you liked this episode, please click the like button and subscribe if you'd like. And I'll see you next time. Bye.